I always ask myself, what is my role in the war, the great shared war against exploitation in our world? So my role is to sort of take a big step back and see exploitation as a whole, all the injustice in the world, sort of in this way, yet also knowing the realistic details of some of the things that happen, like online sextortion and the patterns of child exploitation groups and platform strategies like CSAM hashing and shadow banning predators. I guess I should have said the trigger warning already, but I usually maybe put the trigger warning in the title of the video. But from this position, where I care vaguely about every problem and I'm kind of up to speed with some of the details, I can start conversations. The truth is, like, a revolution needs to take place at this point. We are too complicit in the abuse, in the injustice that goes on in the world. Some people are just, they're so smart, they focus on an injustice radically, but then like they eat meat or something, like from factory farming, and it's so inconsistent, it's so weird. A revolution needs to take place, and we, like the people, like the sort of rising, I don't know, maybe it's our generation, maybe it's a counterculture, maybe it's a breakaway society. We're going to make it happen with our gifts and talents, of which we have a lot, and I would argue that every single person has gifts and talents to offer to this great war. Everyone has different sensibilities as well, like different ways of prioritizing things, different priorities, different values that they overemphasize. But everyone is on board with, this is how it seems, a base set of values and virtues, and the great shared work of stopping child exploitation, and adjacently, like every other form of exploitation as well. It's just child exploitation it seems to be the worst in a lot of cases. We can't quite know for sure. Again, every problem matters. I guess now I'll just kind of run through some of the different people that embody different sensibilities. So a Florida sheriff wants to take down the son of a bitch pedophiles, like the evil son of a bitch satanic pedophiles. He's a Christian as well. So you can see where that sensibility is. Alex Rosen gets a confession out of child predators, and he weaponizes social shame effectively. Very justice-focused type of sensibility. Like justice, it's like a soldier. A student of like maybe mental health or something. This one's interesting. Would maybe want to prevent and understand pedophiles. Like, it's the opposite of the last one, like Alex Rosen. There are people who genuinely just, they want to understand. They're just so curious about like what could compel someone to be this way. And of course, there's different mental health professionals, and that's like a very good sensibility, is to dig deep, like be a professional of the mind, essentially. Haley McNamara wants to hold tech companies accountable for letting the abuse persist. Dear God, what a tragedy that is. But you can kind of see that sensibility is like protecting parents and holding companies accountable. Got to help out the parents too. It's parents' responsibility fully as well, but it is also fully the responsibility of our technology to be in our control. We should control technology, have power over it, and not let it become this thing where it sort of gets out of hand and just creeps into every aspect of life. Technology should be a sort of sacred thing. Haley and Alex Rosen, though, they would both want a sort of Nuremberg Trials 2.0 for some of these assholes. Some of these, like, evil people in society. Like, it sounds harsh, but it's just like, I wouldn't mind if Trump, Putin, whichever kinds of Epsteins are left in the world that we haven't noticed. Like, I wouldn't mind if everybody was just kind of brought forward and just like, hey, you're going to lose your job, and like, we might like get rid of you and just like kind of throw you into a pit or something. Like, and it's exactly. So I embody a lot of that kind of sensibility, but also some of the more integrated, looking at the whole and not necessarily reacting super emotionally to things. But nonetheless, all make sense. All of these sensibilities make sense. Helping to understand pedophilia as a disease and like giving some compassion. It makes sense to me, as well as like just like killing people, which is I can say that comfortably because that's a common sentiment, especially around people like killing child predators. Like we must understand this is a conversation that needs to be had. That's normal to me. Both are normal, but moving on, like Australia's prime minister, I believe someone high ranking in Australia, delivers a sincere apology to the nation for systemic child exploitation cover-ups. And of course, from that position uses high-level resources and can make real progress because of that. So this is why we need like good leaders. And like this is why it's so tragic that we just have all these people in high office that like we feel like don't represent us. It's a complete tragedy. But this is beautiful. I did hear this high up in Australia sort of apologize for like lasting exploitation that occurred throughout churches and just all the trauma. But of course, people in that position have high resources. They can make those big like sweeping changes that are rooted in like the practical world. An antinatalist, or maybe an empath, I'm not quite sure if that's the right word for it, would want all the abuse on Earth to end, period. I embody this a lot. Oftentimes I'm just like thinking about the whole of the world, and I take comfort in the idea that everything will just fade out, and then there will be no people to be exploited anymore. Like there will just be nothing, right? It's like this big picture, like kind of sad but kind of weird, hopeful feeling. They want to make sense of this evil, and then maybe vow not to create new life. It makes sense. The opposite of that, though, is a father who wants to protect his son, and furthermore wants to have a son, and just like protect his son. But both are focused on ending exploitation. This is the beauty of it, and I'm so happy that I've been able to take 50 gigantic steps backwards and see all of this. And really, just this is exactly how I end up having compassion for human beings, is by learning about different sensibilities, learning about the different types of people, hearing all kinds of stories. Greatest tool ever is the internet. We can find people. We can find good environments based around good environments and communities based around ending exploitation. And we can also just hear stories from the wider culture and understand this fucking world full of confusion and injustice, quite honestly. Like I said, a revolution is needed, a peaceful revolution. I truly believe this at this point, and I must remain steadfast in that recognition, because what can happen is I can kind of just drift into a sort of almost melancholy or just automation of my life, where it's just nothing is truly necessarily sacred, but instead, no, I mean, everything is sacred, everything matters, and like, if there's a single injustice left in the world, like that is cause enough for a sort of revolution. So I'm going to try to like rally people essentially and like try to talk about this. I'm going to try daily to talk and write and understand and hear and listen. But fathers are awesome. Mothers are awesome. We need them as well. Ryan Montgomery, have you heard of him? He builds tech. He's building something for, it's like it's meant to empower law enforcement. These are the kinds of people who build the resources for law enforcement. And this guy is crucial, so rooted in technology, like a core pillar. Like technology could make or break us really in this war. But he builds technology for protecting life, and he's also very focused on like the children themselves as well, rather than just like focusing fully on like building technology. He's very, very, very wise, very wise. A nihilist focuses all energy on something more fun than child exploitation. Like, what the fuck? Like, let's just focus on business. Let's focus on creating art. Let's, like, I don't know. There's some people who are a little bit more nihilistic, which I find to be sad because it makes sense. It makes sense. That's the problem. Is like you have every reason to be nihilistic in this world, but I would argue that if there's one shred of like beauty and divinity and goodness, the spark of divinity left in this world, that alone is cause for us to devote our lives to seek it, which is exactly what I've done. I've gone in and out of religion. I have been on this quest of just like I have my trauma and everything, which I'm actually uncovering, is like, oh wait, I actually am a little bit traumatized by some of the good old child exploitation. I mean, it's a classic, right? It's the exploitation. It's all the injustice in the world. I like to think of it all at once. It's really crazy. Oh my goodness. But I would basically argue that we all have a purpose, a deep purpose that we do need to fulfill. It makes sense not to want to fulfill it or not to see it. Not to see it. That's more realistic. You don't see it. You don't see a purpose before you. But what I'm illustrating by talking about all these different kinds of people is that, well, there is a purpose. There's different kinds of purpose. In fact, we have local community and we have a wider culture. And above that, we have divinity and God and sacred things of life. And then below that, we just have the utilitarian reality of life. And then in all four of these domains, there's different challenges and different battlefields as well. And then just in all of these fields, and you have a purpose on all of these playing fields. That is absolutely true. So if there was any doubt in your mind that you don't have a purpose, that's what I'm trying to get at with all of these things that I talk about. So moving on. Some people are just destroyed by like life, or they're abused themselves. A lot of people, so many people are abused themselves. Everybody's traumatized. Tons are abused and can't quite focus on this right now. Like, they support the great work. Like, I support the cause. Like, I've heard this so much. I support the cause. That's sort of like it's almost 2 points that I'm trying to wrap into one right now. But some people are suffering right now. This is the problem. This is the problem. Some people are suffering deeply right now, like in darkness. And they can't focus on the fucking activism right now. Like, I can't focus on the sacred activism of ending exploitation by like writing and understanding and leaning into my lane of work and also having a general awareness of every problem. Like, I can't do that right now because holy shit, like the world is destroying me. This is perfectly fine. This is totally okay. I will be patient and steadfast when you are ready, when the time has come. But until then, the people in positions that I'm in right now, where we are strong, where we are, there's some kind of like desire, there's wisdom, there's the ability to thrive outside of just a seeking for base desire, seeking for survival. It is our responsibility to seek those people who are in darkness right now, I believe. It's hard to do that. It's fucking really hard to do that, I would argue. So I'm trying to that's what I'm trying to do with my content here, is like find other people who share this desire, to at least so that we can like bounce shit off each other's brains to try to get something done. Because the truth is, there are people right now who are suffering, who like can't quite like go into law enforcement right now and like arrest a child predator ring. You know what I mean? Supporting the great work, though. I wanna quickly acknowledge that supporting the great work of like supporting the cause, sure, but it's not a cause anymore. It's our purpose. It's our great shared work. I have to make the distinction now. I kind of want to draw my line in the sand on that. It's not a cause anymore. because it involves all of us. So somebody that says, wow, you are such a great person, I support the cause, you're doing God's work. I've heard this quite a lot, and it's an amazing compliment, and I do appreciate it, but we need to embody it ourselves. No, we are doing God's work. Like, you have a purpose in all of this. And so with everything I say, it's just evidence upon evidence that, yes, you indeed have a purpose in this life. And the purpose is also very useful to the world, where we are united by like a shared cause, I believe. I hope that means something to you, because it means everything to me. Some people, it's like moving on here, some people go to islands and castles to expose evil and investigate. I've seen a couple of these guys online. This is like fun, and then this is like dipping into the adventurer territory of types of people, where some people fundraise while climbing mountains and like fucking biking across the country and doing whatever they like, whatever they truly like deep in their soul. Because like, not everything has to be doom and gloom. You don't have to be on the front lines destroying pedophilia. Instead, what makes sense is for some of these different types of people to have the ability to still fight the great war of exploitation. This is like what the culture is. It's like even if we're chilling and just like enjoying our life, like we're still building resources to empower like the anti-trafficking and like anti-exploitation work through just enjoying life, pretty much. This is amazing. I would love to do this. I would love to embody a lot of this more in my lifetime, however long that may be. So those are the people that I wanted to talk about. I'm happy with how this video is going. So let's conclude here. This is a culture of using gifts, talents, and life purpose, like our role that we can step into life. I'm so thankful to have been able to find this fairly naturally. It took some work, but it did come mostly naturally, I believe. Finding this purpose in with our gifts in this integrated and balanced form to, of course, fight the Great War, and, you know, take part in the shared work. We're building like a culture of virtue and values shared with our siblings, like our brothers and sisters, in full devotion and fulfillment. The devotion is crucial, because that's when you're able to do this consistently and like with a deep attention towards it. And fulfillment is what you get afterwards, where you realize that, like, yes, this means something. So in my notes I put, wait, my community already has that. You know, the culture of virtue, values shared with our siblings in full devotion and fulfillment. Like, my community already has that. Because everyone, like, every culture, every community, they think that they're right. They think that they're just, like, perfectly right. Like, their answer is the answer to save the world, sort of. Which isn't necessarily true. Everything kind of matters, I believe. There's probably a hierarchy there, but yes, I mean, it's good that your community has that. I'm not going to argue with that. If you have the answers, that's great. But more needs to happen. There's still injustice in the world. Even Christians who are supposed to like live in a sort of heavenly way, who are supposed to make like true sacrifice in their life, even they are like actually like rooted in the day-to-day practical life. So that to me is like evidence that, like, hey, like, as much as you want to preach a sort of like, I am absolutely correct in this belief and this is what's going to save the world, like, there's still like a wide range of practical details that you can really get into the mud with. like ankle deep, thick mud of just like different aspects of life that need attention given to them. So that's good, but more needs to happen, and you know it. Until no one is left behind, and until no injustice threatens our peace anymore. Thank you for watching.